Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Agahi with your host, Warisa Zainab. As you know, in this program on Hidayat TV, we always talk about your psychological well being and an issue related to your mental health. In today's episode, we shall be talking about the impact unemployment has on one's mental health and how one can deal with layoff. To explore this topic further, we have invited Ms. Nidhi Sharma, who will be joining us all the way from Mumbai. Nidhi Sharma is a clinical counseling psychologist, and she is also doing a lot of work around mindset coaching. Nidhi, welcome to Agahi.
Thank you, Warisa.
So happy to see you. So,
Me too.
how are you right now?
Sometimes. So yeah, it's a little stable.
Good to
It's
hear.
been
Good
raining
to
a
hear.
lot. Yeah.
Yes, it's been raining like crazy. Yes, in Mumbai and in Karachi as well. So, Niti, this is a quite an interesting topic that we are going to explore today. As you know, since COVID started, thousands of people around the globe they have lost their source of income. People have been struggling with finding a decent job to survive, and it does take its toll on one's mental health, on family relationships, and everything else. So, before we dive into the topic, tell us something about the work that you do around mindset, growth mindset.
Um, See, I believe that if we apply our focus to anything, as children, we are constantly told focus, dhyan do, you look at something and focus on it, and then you can achieve it. Um, Mindset is all about focusing.
Right.
So, if we are able to understand where we are putting our focus on, I call it avoidance goals and approach goals.
Right.
We more or less achieve what we want to do. So, mindset is what literally drives our life. It's the belief system that we carry. Henry
Yeah.
Ford said something very interesting, and he said that, if you think you can and if you think you cannot, you're always right. That's
Yeah.
the mindset. So, I work with
Right.
people, I do counseling and coaching and behavioral, sessions where we I work with helping people or supporting people and understanding how they're thinking and be
Yeah.
able to switch their thoughts, which are the negative thoughts, to more, I would say, approachable thoughts, feeling less guilt, shame, anger, depression,
Yeah.
grief, and all of that, and looking at what is good in life. So, growth mindset is something that works with believing that impossible is a word which can be read as I am possible. So I can change my, I can grow my talent, I can grow my abilities, my potential, I can explore it better, and I can
Yeah.
learn from mistakes. So that's about mindset.
And I think that kind of mindset plays a major role for somebody who has recently been made redundant or has lost their job or are looking to change career even. Because if you have a positive mindset, then you will be able to grow as a person. But with a negative mindset, I think it's going to be pretty challenging. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. So you bang on. A layoff is a catastrophic event that happens in somebody's life, equivalent to a demise of a loved one, or divorce or separation.
Yeah,
It's equivalent to that. And stress scale state that it's one of the top stressors in the world,
yes,
across the
definitely.
world. Yeah, yeah, across the world.
Yeah,
So we are going to face trouble times, all of us. Life is all
yeah,
about ups and downs.
of
We can
course.
navigate the downs if we have a growth mindset, or as you said, positive growth mindset is not really a positive mindset. It is a mindset that says, I can do it. I don't know
Yeah,
this yet, and I can learn. So if we come to something like redundancy or layoff, if we have a
yeah,
mindset that tells us, oh my God, this is catastrophic, and now I am going to die, or I am going to be called failure, and this is all my fault. and how the hell am I going to go ahead like that?
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis someone who says, okay, this is an event that has happened. Let me take a deep breath and understand what really has happened. And trust
Yeah.
me, it's between these two, just in between these two thoughts, lies the
Mm,
growth or the growth. So mindset
true.
plays a lot of very, very important role in a situation like this.
You gave lots of examples that being laid off or losing one's employment or losing one's source of livelihood has such a major impact on one's life. And it's quite similar to losing a loved one through death or divorce. Or so these are quite serious life events that doesn't only impact the individual who's going through it, but also the members of the family who are around this individual, the friend circle, and everybody else. So my question to you would be, when it does impact your emotional health, um, how can a family support this individual, or how can, as friends, we can support somebody who is going through this difficult period in life?
It's very similar to how you would support someone who's had a tragic, let's say, death in the family.
Right.
Um, the person who is in it is facing a very, very life altering situation. So, as
Mm-hmm.
loved ones, one of the first things that we need to do is that instead of making this about my survival, my life, my comfort, how am I going to do this, how we will survive this, and how we will do something, how we will pay the
Yeah.
fees or how we will pay the mortgage, instead of making it
Yeah.
about that, first stop and breathe and understand that this is not about you, this is about this person. Very, very
Mm.
important. Um, when you understand that this is about my loved one, then
Yeah.
you get to understand how overwhelmed this person must be. And then you ask yourself, what do I do for this person?
Hmm.
Um, just today, a very young friend of mine, she's just 27 and she lost
Yeah.
some things. And she
Hmm.
was, in fact, this today as well as yesterday, a client was telling me similar situation who's lost her mother. Said that,
Yeah.
people keep calling and keep asking, how am I? How am I? Have things moved? Have this happened? Have that happened? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And they say, why can't they just stop? I understand
Hmm.
that they mean well. Now,
Yeah.
they're not
Yeah.
only feeling overwhelmed with the situation, but you're also feeling overwhelmed that I am getting irritated with people who are asking me again and again and feeling more pressure because of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the first thing, the other thing that you need to do is stop. Helping and support are two different things. Sympathy
Definitely.
and with empathy are different things, right?
Yeah.
By asking
Absolutely.
again and again, you pull the person down, you remind the person again and again that he or she is in a bad situation, maybe is not able to meet the needs that the person needs to meet. And that
Hmm.
has a ripple effect, like a whirlpool, just sucks them in. So we
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
stop doing that. So yeah, that's I think is very, very important to support the person. Ask the person, how would you like me to support you? What
Yeah.
can I do? And if you notice, I'm not using the word help. This person
Yeah.
knows how to help themselves. Ask them, how do I support you? What can I do for you? Can I do something? What would you like me to do? If the person
Yes.
says, leave me alone for some time, do that. It's not a
Give them space.
rejection.
Yeah.
Correct. Give them
Yeah.
space. Allow them. And if you are getting overwhelmed, tell them that, I am overwhelmed. I am also very concerned. So would it be okay if maybe once a day we can sit down and just talk about it? Sounds
Yes.
clinical, right? And yet it helps. Sometimes initially, when we are in a stage of loss, clinical stuff helps because losing a job is a stage of loss. And when we go
Yeah.
through stages of loss, the person who's going through it might be in denial, can be in anger, can be in grief, can be going into depression.
Hmm.
And all of this can happen simultaneously or can happen one after the other. So we have to
Yeah.
stop and allow this person. I think that is the best thing that the family can do.
And I think, unfortunately, this is not the case. I mean, in most cases, you see that family members or the social circle this person hangs out with is not always supportive. It's often judgmental, or they will just create more problems and difficulties for this person. And then instead of people opening up and sharing their, feelings, they kind of tend to close up because they know they're going to be judged. They're going to be they'll say things they don't want to hear. It's the last thing they want to hear. So, how can the person himself or herself who is going through this period of unemployment and has just lost something that they were not prepared for losing, how can they manage their own emotions, their own feelings? Like you said, anger, you're bound to experience that, frustration.
Um, let's understand what is it about career that makes it so impactful. Career is associated with our self-worth. From the moment a child is born, and especially boys, it's
Yeah,
like you have to be the provider across the world. The phenomenon
yeah,
is same. Okay? And even if you have to, or at least you have to look after yourself, you have to be responsible, etc. And career is that one segment or domain that allows us to be a provider. It is
yeah.
one segment which allows me to be successful or show that I'm successful, right? So when I say that I drive an X kind of a car, it is related to the money I make straight up with my career. And so our entire well-being, our literally every breathing moment as we grow, become the fully
Mm.
functional adult, becomes about the career.
Yes.
And now that has been taken away.
Hmm.
So the
Yeah.
first thought that will hit me is, why me? Did I do something wrong? Uh, Maybe I have been singled out. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe
Hmm.
I don't have enough qualification. I start doubting myself.
Yes.
Yeah. So when it is so deeply attached with our self-esteem and self-worth, career has
Hmm.
a huge impact when it is taken away.
Absolutely.
So when somebody is facing a layoff, now I will tell you about some. I work a lot with people who are in transition. I like to call them in transition. They're just
Hmm.
moving from one position to another position, uh,
Right.
maybe not by their choice.
Hmm.
So I had this young client who was about 28 or 29 years of age, and he was in a transition state. And one day he was sounding very, very extremely down. So I asked him. I said, "What is it that's bothering you so much?" So he says, "You tell me." So I said, "How will I be able to tell you what has happened?" He says, "No, everybody seems to be telling me that I should get a job. I should get a job every morning, afternoon, evening. My family seems to be asking me, where is your job? What interview have you lined up? What has happened to this interview? What has happened to that interview?" He says, "I don't want to give any interview." Now, this. So I had to make this, I would call him a boy because he was almost my daughter's age. Uh,
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, and I had to tell him that, look, what do you think is the reason that these people are asking these questions? So first in
Hmm.
anger he said, "I don't know." Okay.
Yeah.
Then after a few seconds he says, "Yeah, I get it that they love me, they care for me." I said exactly. So then I worked with him to help him understand. And however, before I get into that, one of the things that family members have to do, you really have
Hmm.
to step back. And we
Yeah.
understand that you have anxiety. Set up a time, as I said, that maybe around tea time when the person is free, say, "So how was your day? you know did you do any interviews? Did you get any calls? Are you all right? It's okay if you didn't get any interview. Do a bit of a supportive talk." And
Yeah.
for the person, The person who's going through it, trust me, none of us can understand this person's health
Yes,
in the
of
mind.
course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even if we have been into it, it's different for different people.
Of
So the
course, yeah.
first thing, so the first thing I want them to know is that uh, you're not a failure.
Hmm.
You're not a failure. This is not your fault. Yeah?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think it's even the organization's fault at times, which is very
Hmm.
difficult for people to understand because what the organization perhaps is doing is if they have say 1,000 people, yeah, and they
Yeah.
have taken away let's say 200 people, they're trying to save 800 people. And if they don't save the 800 people, then in a year's time or 6 years, 6 months time, perhaps all 1,000 people will be in the similar position. So to
Yes.
survive, they have to do a hygiene check. I'm not saying it's
Hmm.
the best thing to do. All right. I'm not
Hmm.
at all justifying that. I'm giving a perspective. So understand this is not your fault. It's a strategic decision that a business made. Having said that, give yourself a little time to take stock of the situation. Now, typically, what happens in a fearful state is that our prefrontal cortex, the rational mind, is not able to come up. The amygdala, the the ancient brain or the subconscious takes over, and that is working in flight, fight, or freeze mode. Fight, flight, or freeze mode. That means
Yeah.
rational is just out of the this thing. Now, to take the reason I'm telling you this is that people who are listening in perhaps can understand that we have to get out of this fight, flight, and freeze mode. That's a panic
Yeah.
mode. So if we remain in panic, all we do is we complain, we constrict, we constrain, all of that, right? And in long run, that doesn't work. So I'm already facing a difficult situation, and now I say, oh, you know what? We have to cut down the TV. So take off the cable,
Yeah. Yeah.
or no longer buying from XYZ store and start looking for bargain deals. Right?
Hmm.
Um, take off some house helps that we may have, or the luxuries that we might be looking at, or start walking to the supermarkets and things
Yes.
like that. That is only putting the bad situation into a worse situation. So very important, take stock. And once you have taken few deep breaths, once you have understood what has happened, take stock of the situation in terms of finances first. Yeah, very important because that's
Yeah.
the roller coaster that keeps us.
Yeah.
So when
Of
I say
course.
take stock of the situation, what I mean is that look at what are the outstandings that you have. You have credit card
Hmm.
bills, you have mortgage to play. Maybe you have, like in India, we have car loans, home loans,
Yeah.
God knows, personal loans, so many medical bills, etc.
Yeah.
Once you do that, you understand very clearly. Now, can I go to these organizations and tell them that I'm facing a transition and I need a time or a payout system. If I
Yeah.
land a job, let's say in 3 months' time or 2 months' time, I will come back on
Hmm.
shift. However, till such time, this is the situation. Yeah. Rational. Most of the
Yeah.
time, people do support. Once that is out of the way, because that's the big headache people have, and I hear people say this so many times, Varisa, that I have bills to pay, I have EMIs to pay, I have my child's education and their fees to
Hmm.
pay, right? So once you are able to take stock, it kind of settles down. And then you take the step forward in doing what you need. So right now I'm just giving you some of the uh, very practical things that you can
Yes.
do to get calm.
I mean, this is like quite common. The first thing that people worry about or get concerned about when they are told that you're no longer going to be employed for, say, example, next month or in a couple of months' time, the first thing people try to sort out or resolve is their outstanding bills or things that they have taken as loans and debts. And if you're the breadwinner of the family, then you have the whole responsibility of your children, your parents, or your siblings, or so it's a lot to take in, it's a lot to process. And even if you don't feel guilty or if you don't blame your own self for losing that job for whatever reasons, even then there is this fear. What if I'm unable to secure another job in, say, a month's time or two months' time? What will happen then? And I think it's the fear of the unknown that makes things even more difficult for people. So if they're not panicking because of what's happened, they'll definitely panic for things that they are not aware of.
And that is why I said career is so attached to the self-esteem. So even if you're not panicking because of the career transition, you panic because of the fear of failure. However,
Yes.
interestingly, see, because I do work with people who are in transit, I've also had people who have actually come to me and said that, this is the best thing that has happened. I now need to take stock of things. Perhaps life
Right.
is telling me something and I need to hear. And in
Yes.
these cases, most people I see are able to fend people very well because they are happy, they are confident. I'm not saying they're not worried, they're concerned, of course, they're concerned. However, they're operating in a rational manner. And one more
Mm.
thing that people need to do is that when you have been given the pink slip, instead
Yeah.
of wallow, wallow for a day, wallow for 2 days if you want to. But
Mm.
please, by the third day, get up and go to the HR and ask them relevant questions. Ask them, am I going to get a severance package? What is the policy that the company has? Read your appointment letter, read the company policies, and see if there is a severance that is supposed to be given. Just
Yeah.
like you are supposed to give a notice period, the company is also supposed to give you a notice period, right? And they're supposed to compensate you for that period of time, right? That is one. Ask them for what is called an outplacement service. Now, most people don't know about this because most of us
Mm.
never deal with it.
Yeah.
Outplacement service is a service, for example, I work for a company which does outplacement. So I am a
Mm.
coach with them, and that's
Yeah.
how I deal with people, right? So outplacement services provide you with a CV writer, provide you with a career coach. Basically, it's a support system. Okay, they will also
Right.
have a job hunter who will work alongside you to look out for possible opportunities. They're not placement companies. Okay,
Right.
that part you still have. However, you need to be supported in terms of a new CV. I have worked with people who were made redundant after 15 years. They were in one
Wow.
organization 15 years, 18 years. And big guys, okay?
Yeah.
Big guys.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
really big guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So now this person is saying to me that I have no clue what my CV looks like. So a CV writer who's queued onto the current, applicant tracking system, as it's called ATS, then you will get the support of a CV writer. Otherwise, getting a CV written professionally is also a task, right? A
Mm.
career coach can support you in this transition period in terms of looking at your, what is your personal value proposition? What do you bring to the table? How do I navigate interviews? What is my social media presence?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm talking more about practical things, Varisa, because when we focus on what I can do, my emotional
Yes.
health becomes okay.
Definitely.
So if you
Definitely.
so if you have, let's say you have gotten some kind of outplacement uh, services or not, you can
Yeah.
definitely engage someone, a good copywriter to work with you. Yeah,
Mm.
sorry, CV writer, not copywriter. And also, it's time to evaluate your career. What am I really doing? Is this what I really want?
Yeah.
And I have seen people in my experience who suddenly come up and say, you know what, I've been wanting to study, so I think I'm going to take my time to enroll into a course. Yeah. I've seen people who've gone to become entrepreneurs. I worked with somebody who uh, was made redundant and then he went on to get into cryptocurrencies. I don't know how he's doing today with the economy, but and quite a few people I've seen who become entrepreneurs and taking
Yeah.
that step. I have seen people change their careers.
Yes,
Heart
that's
goes
true.
together. Yeah. So it's a very good time to take stock.
I think, Nidhi, what happens is, and I've seen this like some of my clients, that when the first lockdown happened and then the second one, And then people were forced or had no choice but to work from home. And then there was another category of people who could not work from home. They were in the kinds of jobs that they had to be out there, were working alongside other team members and being out and about. And a lot of people were made redundant. A lot of people were laid off. And I've seen people, like you use the word, transition from one field to a totally different one. And some of them are really happy that they made that move because initially they never had the chance or the time to actually sit down with themselves and explore all the options that they have. And most importantly, get to know their own selves, like, important questions like, what do I want in life? What is it that makes me really happy? What is it that I'm really good at? Something as basic as this, these questions that we often, I think, don't ask ourselves because we're so occupied with a 9 to 5 routine, coming home and rest of it. I think the lockdown, the COVID gave people a chance to kind of rediscover themselves, and lots of people changed their career. Like you said, they started their own businesses, they went for career change. But then there was a group of people who feared it, fearing change itself, because it's a big risk, stepping out from your comfort zone into something that you have never done before.
Will you believe that I still have some trainer friends? So we did trainings, I do behavioral facilitations. We did it on site, obviously, before COVID happened. And I had already started doing a little bit of online work, very little, but little bit. Right? So I transitioned very fast, very, very fast.
Hmm.
I still have friends. They still tell me, how can you do this online? And I look at them and say, 2 years, it's time you moved ahead. I mean, this is where life is. On site
Yes.
is great, of course, absolutely. So, you hit the nail on the head. Ultimately, loss is about change. And this is where
Yes.
psychology and emotions come. When I lose someone, I don't know how I'm going to carry on without seeing this person, how my life is going to change. My mother is no longer here. So when I come home, who's going to give me food? Now,
Yeah.
I'm obviously simplifying it. It's not as simple as that. Like for me, sometimes I have an 82-year-old father, and sometimes it hits me that, one day he won't be there. So who will make me feel safe? Just looking at him, I feel safe. So then that
Yes.
safety net Warisa is taken away, which is a job, which is my identity. Literally, um, most of the time when we meet somebody, we ask them their name and then we ask them, what do you do? I did this today morning, right? That becomes my identity. And when that identity is being taken away, I have no other way of standing out. And it's scary. Who am I? I don't like what I see at times. We all have
Yeah.
dark and light sides, right? So change becomes paralyzing,
Yes.
paralyzing. Yeah? And so one of the things I tell people is that, when you're going through the transition, sit down
Yeah.
and write what is called an exit statement. I'm not
Hmm.
digressing. I'm still on the change subject. Okay. An
Yeah.
exit
Yeah.
statement is a statement that you typically write to an organization when you resign. They ask you, and then you make resign, and they say that please write a reason because, and the reason needs to be, you can complain about the organization or whatever you. Now, this exit statement is not for the organization; it is for us. What am I going to tell myself? What has happened? So a lot of people say, but I have been sacked. What
Hmm.
hard word. Yeah, I have been laid off. Such a hard word. So I
Yeah.
often tell them that, write down a statement that says that something like, in fact, I had made a note of it, something like that, my company is going through some restructuring at this point. My organization had to rethink its way forward and had to make some hard business decisions, which
Yes.
has, unfortunately, has put me in a which has put me and some of my colleagues in a space where we are in a transition, or which has given me the opportunity, or they gave me the opportunity to rethink my career path. Now, those things, that is an exit statement. When you tell that to yourself, when you create that for yourself, then you talk like that when you approach someone for a job or an interview.
Yeah.
So that then helps you to transit from a positive space rather than saying, well, you know what, I'm sacked, so I have to look for another job. And the
Yeah.
person who's sitting in front of you, interviewing you, gets that negative energy from
Of course. Yeah. That you're just
you.
kind of
So,
applying just for the sake of desperation.
absolutely. So that's the growth mindset that comes into play, or a positive mindset that comes. So talking to yourself is extremely important when you are in a situation like the right talk that you are doing.
What about going through interviews, over interviews, and not getting anywhere? And we see this. And often people get really disheartened. They feel that despite trying so hard, despite trying different kinds of fields and career choices, nothing seems to be working. And then they fall into depression, and then they kind of start the, the self-talk, which is not that doesn't come under growth mindset at all. How can people deal with that kind of struggle? Because it's a pretty daunting experience.
I agree with you. It's a daunting experience. It's being locked in a cell. I feel where
Hmm.
you are not in control. Okay,
Yes.
you have lost all control.
Hmm.
Uh, Two things are happening. If we are not getting, and I again have seen this with people who transit, there are those who get placed, and then there is that 1 or 2% which is still struggling and not able to. Uh, there are two, three reasons that it happens. Primarily two reasons. One is that you're not working on your interviews. Okay. So when I ask people like this, so what happened in your interview? They're already in what we call an external locus of control. The interview went very well. I think I did everything right. I
Hmm.
think the other person is now, they are wanting to employ only people who are referred to them. So they find reasons and excuse to blame other people.
Hmm.
Instead of sitting back and taking help of perhaps a mentor or a coach. Okay, people do work in short batches, also small batches, and
Yeah.
ask them, okay, can you please teach me how do I interview? Because chances are that you may know things in your head, but the way it is
Hmm.
being delivered is not the right
Yes.
attitude that is coming. So that is one reason which can be fixed. The second and more important and far deeper issue is that perhaps you are not able to, what you had picked up, Warisa, know where you really want to head. We're trying to get into a career, perhaps,
Yeah.
and I'm talking now more from the spiritual aspect, from a larger aspect of what perhaps life wants us to take into a direction, and we choose
Yeah.
not to hear the calling, right? So I'm again going after the same thing, banging after the same door which is not opening, instead looking
Yes.
at a crack that might be there and maybe grabbing the chance. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, when I say this, come back to me say, but I will have to start at the bottom. I will have to take a salary cut, and how can I do that? And how can I? I get it. Having something is better than having nothing, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. That's
Exploring
what I'm talking.
something that just might give you, so you can have a plan in place with your family. Um, that look, I think I need to do this. This is going to cut down our, income in this manner. These are the few things that we might have to compromise at this point in time. How can we do this? What is it that we can do? And trust me, families have hidden talents that they can use to contribute. And
Oh
COVID
yes.
showed us that. The amount
Yes.
of
Definitely.
cooking people did. The amount of cooking people did, the amount of craft work people did and sold online was amazing, right?
Yes.
We all
Yes.
have talented people sitting at home and who can contribute. So we have to sit and
Or Nidhi, lots of people, they even learned a new skill. I know so many people who utilized the time that they had to do things that they always wanted to do, but previously they never had the time or the capacity.
yes,
But then they did, and they loved
yes,
it.
I was one of those. I learned macrame as a child. You know, girls
Right.
are taught those things, right? and I took that up,
Hmm.
and I made plant holders. I made bags, and so yeah. I mean, at one point, and I was thinking that maybe I should start selling them and get
Why
some
not?
money. Well, yeah, why not? Absolutely, why not? So
Yeah.
people, and also having a hobby at this point in time when you are feeling stuck, unstuck,
Hmm.
it fuels you with the right energy. And so as coaches, one of the things that I tell people to do is a 5 by 5 strategy. 5 days a week,
Okay.
you do 5 things every day. 5 things.
Okay.
So typically, what people do who are looking for jobs is that they will keep searching, keep searching, keep searching. Are we running out of time, Varisa? Are we good?
Yeah, we have let's say 10 minutes.
Oh, perfect. So, so they just keep hunting for jobs. But there are 5 activities that you can do. One can be that you can upskill yourself. Every day, do maybe for 1 hour, you upskill yourself. 1 hour, you connect with somebody who can help you in your career. Maybe for half an hour, you can do some research on the organization that you want to go to. Maybe you can devote half an hour in working on your LinkedIn profile. Very, very important. Really, really important.
And
1 hour you can.
also, Nidhi, I was thinking of feedback. You know, lots of people go for job interviews, but they never ask for feedback. And they keep
Never.
repeating the same
Yeah.
pattern, the same mistakes, without learning from their experiences. And that, I think, is such a, major thing.
Y- Yeah. However, Vanessa, I don't know how it works in other countries. I see in in India that HR is not very forthcoming and open about it. So
Hmm.
people they don't even give. They say no, the hiring manager has decided to take somebody else, or tell them
Right.
things like you are overage. I've
Oh,
also had that. Oh yes,
an
yes.
issue.
Gender bias is yes, yes. Age by
Wow.
ageism happens. So I have people coming back and saying, "What do I do about my age?"
Yes,
So
there's
HR
nothing you can
also,
do.
yeah, nothing I can do about it. So HR also has to spruce up their game. They don't get back to people. Understand the people who are coming as applicants are going through a very bad time. Be
Yeah.
empathetic. If nothing, you can just write one mail to say that we won't be taking this forward at this point in time, and we have chosen to go with another candidate, which is
Hmm.
also
Hmm.
okay. There was maybe somebody who suited the thing better. So
Yeah.
HR needs to play a hiring managers need to play a role as well and tell people. And coming to your interview feedback, look, if the HR is not going to give the feedback, then
Yeah.
you can have a mentor who can do that for you. Work on your interviewing skills, right? And
Yeah.
you can develop
Practice.
those. Yeah, practice.
Definitely. Definitely. So let's quickly finish the points before we run off the time, the 5 points that you're going to
Absolutely.
share.
So no, we call it a strategy which is called 5 by 5. So you look at
Okay.
5 days in a week and every day do 5 things that support your career and job search. Okay. Weekends, please enjoy yourself. So one can be networking is very, very essential and needs to be at
Oh,
the top of your list. Yeah.
yeah.
Connecting with people, make a target list of the companies that you want to work with, maybe 20, 25. Do research on them. So that research is another one. Networking is one. Research on companies is another work. Working on your interviews. Take one question, write it out, make your exit statement and work that out. Make your elevator pitch. When somebody tells you, tell me something about yourself, you should have a
Hmm.
good opening line. Along with that, do upskilling, uh, take up something. So sit down and take stock of that in my career. What are the skill sets needed in 2020? What do I have? What can I add? So upskill yourself and read on your subject. So these are different 7, 8 activities that you can that I am suggesting. 5 activities every day. Take it up instead of just going online and applying. That should be the
Yes.
minimal amount. Minimal amount. Your 80% of the time should be going in doing what is uplifting and building a career. And 10 to 20% of time should go ideally in employment. I mean, job search and application.
Quality over quantity.
Well, yes, absolutely. Quality over.
So, Nidhi, before we finish this episode today, I really want you to help our viewers, especially the ones who may be going through this difficult period in their lives where they are in a period of looking for another job or are changing their career. How can they cope with their emotions and especially their relationships with their family members who may be getting affected as a result of their being laid off or unemployed?
So there is no magic pill, okay? That you can do this and it will become okay. No, it's not.
Yeah.
We know emotions take time, right? So what I said in the beginning, take stock of the situation, mindfulness, very
Yes.
important. Uh, Spend some time with yourself. Be in a quiet environment that invigorates you. So go for a walk in a park, which is green and healthy. You feel take in the fresh air, get away from the computer,
Hmm.
create a ritual and a discipline for the day. Wake up at the
Yeah.
right time that you're supposed to. Whatever you need to do to run a life the way it needs to be done. So yeah, you may not have to go to an office today. However, you can
Yeah.
run your life in that manner that you were doing. That keeps the emotions stable. Breathing is very helpful. So even if you just sit and I say 1 minute breathing 5 times a day. All you have to do is sit and that's it. Take your breath in and release. Take your breath in and for a minute. Do it 5 times
Hmm.
a day. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. It helps the mind to rest, which is on an overdrive. And
Yes.
that helps the prefrontal cortex to come up and the subconscious to cool down. And then you
I
are more
think, yeah,
responsive.
that's a very good point you have made, Nidhi, because you often see people who are going through any kind of psychological stress. They don't breathe properly. They kind of grasp for breath. It's not deep breathing that actually gives your mind and your body enough oxygen to function. Because they're always on the like panic mode just to get things done and being overwhelmed with lots of emotions. Oh, I need to apply for this. I need to go for, it's like you said, take a moment and be in the present. Yeah.
Yeah. And dealing with family is one is why are we dealing with family? Family is family. We are living together. Just live normally as you were. Nothing is. I mean, if you make it bigger than it is, so it will be a two-way process. The person who is in it also needs to function in a normal day-to-day function, and even the family has to function. So sit together, chalk a plan. That okay. In 1 month, if this doesn't happen, what is the plan B? If in 2 months it doesn't happen, then what is the plan C? Sit down and talk to each other, have dinners together, spend some time together with each other so that we see you happy. The family sees you happy, you seem happier, and then the energy gets translated with each other.
That's
Hiding
true. Yeah.
things when you are scared, just saying that, telling your spouse that you're scared, or telling your
Hmm.
parents that I'm scared, is okay. And the
Yeah.
other person also has to just be there and say, it's okay, I'm there for you. We'll do it together.
This reminds me, Nidhi, what you said in the beginning of today's show, that the way in some cultures and societies boys are raised from early years, that you are going to be the breadwinner of the family. You are the one who's going to share the responsibilities. You are the one who's going to get your sisters married, or, what have you. So from a very early age, they grow up thinking that all the financial responsibilities and burden is on me, and that puts extra pressure and stress on them. So when that member of the family loses job,
Yeah.
that's just pretty, like, it's quite devastating. Like you said, it's traumatic in its own way.
Yes. And imagine for a person who thinks like that, his sister or
Yeah,
mother has to now go and work. Now double guilt happens, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
everybody, a family is made of men and women, right? And everybody contributes. Sometimes
yeah,
I do, sometimes you do, and that's okay. Doesn't make us any less of.
yeah.
So the
That's
mindset,
another
I
mind.
feel,
That's another mindset we have to change. The gender roles and um,
absolutely,
shared responsibility, and, like you said, difference between help and support. So support is also
absolutely,
emotional, not just physical and financial.
absolutely, absolutely.
Any final words of wisdom you would like to share? You've shared plenty of them,
Well,
but
one of the things that I would like to say at the end is that after having done whatever I'm saying,
yeah.
focus only on what you can control.
Hmm.
Focus only on that. Rest is just riffraff. We can't do anything about it. It will overwhelm you and it is not a productive space. So do what you need to do and ask yourself, did I do it to the best of my ability? And if the honest to God answer is yes, so be it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So focus on what you can control.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nidhi, for taking the time out for Hidayat TV and sharing these, insightful information and advices to our audience. I'm pretty sure all of those people who are watching us right now, they must have somehow benefited from these tips that you have given today. To all our viewers, I'll join you again next Saturday with another guest, another specialist around mental health to cater your needs. And till then, please look after your mental health. Assalamu alaikum.